Hi, this is Laura from Laura's View and Tarot 2.
And Lady D from Oracle Adelphi and Soul Therapy with LadyD.com.
We're here to do a weekly news recap and a little bit of tarot investigation too. So, how was your week, Lady D?
Oh, it was good, but I'm exhausted. I'm still not sleeping. Other than that, a little crazy. We were talking about the Mercury retrograde before before we got
Well,
on
not
here.
only that, but the Schumann resonance is the heartbeat of the earth. And
Hmm.
it did some really intense things yesterday on the 23rd. Today, by the way, is November 24th, 2025. I always try to put the current date into my videos so that those offshore pirates don't have any luck trying to take our video and call it theirs. But the Schumann resonance was apparently so active that worldwide a lot of the monitoring stations went down overnight.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And
That's
that is one of the
nuts.
news items that I wanted to share today. And yeah, with the Mercury retrograde, that hits communications and that hits interactions with people and things like that. I've learned to I'm one of those people that seem to be affected by it quite a bit. So I try to be very gentle with myself and give myself a little extra time and have a plan B for things that deal with electronics. So just trying to be proactive because that's better than being reactive, isn't it?
Yeah, I noticed too, a lot of people don't like to leave contract signing or anything with paperwork and stuff like that because there is a lot of fumbles. And I know one time during a Mercury retrograde, I did a whole reading, an email reading, and I sent it and I was in the sent file and then it was gone. So a lot of little hiccups like that as well. But it's hard, as we were speaking about before we started recording. It happens every 3 months, and it seems like it happens every other day. Mercury's retrograded.
In the last one, all of a sudden, my email decided to start telling me my buy me a coffee notifications. They were putting them in the spam file. So I actually had some, clients that I needed to get in touch with and didn't. And yeah, so it can be an interesting time. Though, they say in the Bible that that's what the wise men used were the stars in the skies to guide them to the Savior. So
Hmm.
there is something to keeping at least, I don't let it totally rule my world, but I do kind of keep an eye on what's happening in the skies because I think they were placed where they were placed, no matter whether this is a dome or flat or a spheroid or whatever, or round, whatever it is, they were placed there, so that we could get some nudges and guidance from them. I do believe that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, let's talk politics a little bit for the last week. I'm not trying to give too much energy to it. I always tell people to observe events without absorbing it because there is a desire with evil to harvest our energy, to have us anxious and worried and things like that. And when we learn to detach a little bit, it's super, super powerful. So
Oh, yeah.
even though I was detached, I noticed that President Trump met with Mayor-elect Mamdani in the Oval Office. And I just love that when reporters were talking to them later, they asked Mamdani, well, didn't you call this man a fascist? And Trump patted him on the back and said, that's okay, go ahead and answer it. It would take you too long to explain it away. So he was gracious and humorous both. He also mentioned, and some anons picked up on it, the President Trump, when he was talking about Mamdani's election process, he mentioned that he went uh, down at the bottom, and then all of a sudden he was 17 and then elected. So he mentioned the number
Hmm.
17 very purposefully when he was listing some numbers. And I saw some anons say, if you know, you know.
Yep. Absolutely. I did a read on my channel on Saturday night, and I got that. That was a calm. That was a calm for the 17th bunch. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I will
Hmm.
put a link to that video of yours from Saturday night in the video description box for this one. I usually have your channel contact information, but since you mentioned a specific video, I'll add that link too. Okay?
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Thank
sure.
you.
Okay, now we have coined a term here at Laura's View and Lady D2, Sedition Gate. Last week, Democratic lawmakers went into harassment mode and were calling upper brass in the military and urging them not to follow orders from President Trump. Now, uh, that constitutes, planned sedition. So we're calling this Sedition Gate. And I saw today President Trump has commented that what he might do is just allow Pete Hegseth and the military to deal with that because that is something with members of Congress they can do. And let me tell you, as a former, I was attached to a JAG unit in my one hitch with the National Guard. Military tribunals are powerful, fast, and effective. You meet before a panel of three to, I think it could be up to nine. And you present your evidence, and there's no delays, there's no continuances, there's no appeal process. The verdict is the verdict. So
Good, good.
I would let the military handle that too if I was President Trump and just stay out of it.
Yeah, what is up with that? Why would they do that? That's so disgusting. It's putting the military, it's putting them in this horrible position. And it is sedition. Why would they? And they were very vague too. And then when the news went back and asked them and confronted, even on CNN, the fake news, they confronted them and said, "Why would you say that? What was um, the specific things that President Trump asked them to do that's illegal?" And they said, "Oh no, just in case he asked them." They didn't even have a specific law or anything that he broke. It's such
Yeah,
bullshit.
yeah. No, they were trying to see if they had who was still, I think, in their camp because there has been a lot of cleaning out of people that in the military that
Mm-hmm.
weren't following the Constitution, and I'll just leave it at that. So I think they were trying to
Mm-hmm.
see who might be amenable to a call like that and work with them. And yeah, consequences, folks. I'm all for them.
Fafo, fafo, get your pearls.
I got him. Go ahead and say it.
Fuck around and find out.
Okay. Okay, so Sedition Gate, we covered that. I was sad to see just yesterday on the 23rd, Doge was disbanded. And they weren't
Ooh.
supposed to be out of commission for months yet. So there's a lot of chatter that they were getting too close and were too effective in what they were finding out. So that, yeah, I was sad to see that, the disbanding happened. Um,
Yeah.
Of course, on the flip side, and this might be something we'd want to investigate, the Doge was doing an audit. The United States has been in the past a corporation. It's a bankrupt corporation now. Did they get far enough along in the audit that the assets actually have now been audited? Because that's part of a bankruptcy proceeding. So is Doge disbanded because they actually had enough of the auditing done that they've audited enough for a bankruptcy purposes? That's something I'm curious about.
Ooh, very interesting. That is a very good
Yeah, so I'm
thinking,
sad that they're
Laura.
disbanded, but maybe there's a reason, and I'm wondering if that's it. And then the last thing, because I bounce around from politics to the esoteric to whatever when I'm looking at news and headlines, there is some indication that we have had a timeline collapse, that we're now in a higher timeline. And that kind of is, to my mind, somewhat corroborated by the fact that the Schumann resonance is much higher than it used to be, consistently higher, with some spikes in activity that were unheard of 10 years ago. But that if you think of it as a heartbeat, the resting heartbeat of the earth is much higher than it used to be, which would, to me, kind of give an indication again of a higher timeline, an ascension timeline, things like that, that there might actually be some sauce to that thought. The sauce is your, proof and bringing some receipts. So, what do you think of that one?
I think that's amazing, and I say yes. I
Yeah,
do. I think I feel different. I've noticed the last week I feel fundamentally different. I can't explain it, but I'm a spicy meatball, hence our show, but I've been a lot more even keel. I've noticed even keel, and my downloads have been epic, and I just see things from like an eagle's eye perspective that I haven't seen before, which is beautiful, but it's just different. How about you, Laura?
I've always been a vivid dreamer, but
Mm-hmm.
uh, not just color dreams, but technicolor. And some of them have been just absolutely beautiful, not anxiety provoking or anything else. I had one recently, I can't even describe the colors, where I was walking down to a body of water and I was walking through one of those bowers, that plants and flowers grow up on. And nestled into
Mm-hmm.
it was a hummingbird nest, and the little hummingbird was flitting nearby, letting me look at her family. She had three little eggs, and it was so vivid. I mean, from the grains of sand on the path to the flowers to the hummingbird, it was just very, very vivid. And I've had people tell me that nowadays they're noticing when they wake up from a vivid dream, the colors around them are more vivid too. Uh, I don't know that they remain that way long term. I'll have to check back with them and see. But just kind of interesting because we're told as we ascend, we will have brighter colors, um, more of the spectrum of light will be available to our eyes to see. And I think there might be something to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that we're going places in our dreams. I tend to believe that vivid dreams or lucid dreams are us leaving our body and going in the astral, and that's why it's so lucid and vivid. And then we just remember it when we get back into our bodies. But that's awesome, Laura.
Yeah,
That's really
yeah.
cool.
So anyway, let's do a tarot investigation on a couple of these items. What piqued your interest?
I kind of like the timeline shift, if you don't mind.
Go for
The
it. Go for it.
Yeah, I like the woo-woo stuff.
Okay, that's fine. And then I'll take Sedition Gate. Okay.
Oh, all right, cool.
And hang with us, folks. We'll get Lady D front and center for her tarot investigation.
All right, so let's ask about the timeline jump. And if we collapsed one timeline and went to a higher timeline, that would be epic. And I kind of think we did. So let's ask. Here we go. Holy God, in the name of Yeshua, is the reason why the Schumann resonance went down. Basically, it was not being registered anywhere around the world. Was it because we collapsed timelines and we jumped from a lower timeline to a higher timeline, and more specifically, the ascension timeline? So the yes or no question is, was the Schumann resonance down over the weekend because we jumped the timeline and went from lower to a higher timeline? Yes and no. And anything else, whoops, I'll put those aside. That will bring clarity and understanding to this question, Almighty God and Yeshua. Now I'm going to take these out because they fell out. Okay, we got the Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords. All right, so knights are news. All right, knights are news. And I'm also getting, this is very interesting. I do think it was spiritual, but I think there was some kind of human intervention with that timeline. And the reason why I'm saying this is because we got two knights. So I'm getting that there's interdimensional beings that work along with the Galactic Federation of Worlds. They're part of like the secret military. They're working along with our military. I'm getting that there was intervention. There's two knights that fell out here. So I'm getting there were spiritual, extraterrestrial. Um, I'm getting six-dimensional beings that, again, that work with our Galactic Federation of Worlds, that work with the secret space program that actually did something to infiltrate. Um, I will say infiltrate, kind of instigate whatever happened. So that's interesting. I'm going to put those to the side here, okay, and see what else we got. All right, we got 10 of Swords, Six of Pentacles, 10 of Cups, the Hermit card, and the Six of Swords. All right, so right off the bat, I'm going to try to get these so that we can see these better. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm getting that. With the 10 of Swords, I'm getting that we're suffering so many losses, okay? I'm getting that the beings, the fifth and sixth dimensional beings that are looking after our ascension, the ones that are cloaked around our earth now that are in spaceships, they've seen that we've suffered a tremendous loss. Okay, loss of life, loss of our energy. And I'm getting that the the principalities, the dark principalities, most of them are pretty much off of this world, but there is still some negative and dark energy that was going to try to squash our ascension, try to stop it, try to end it. So, in order to speed up the ascension, because we've done a lot of work, I'm getting that they did something with the energy. These beings that came out, you saw them, these cards fell out. I'm getting that they did something with the Schumann resonance. I'm getting they did something with the earth, and I'm getting they okay, this is wild, but I'm gonna go with it. I'm getting they stopped time. They hired and that was the stop in the Schumann resonance. They actually stopped our time. So that was the blip, and they did something with their energies. They generously raised the vibration of the earth in order to speed up our ascension. This is because we as human beings, the ones like you and I, the people that watch my channel and Laura's channel here, we have done our work. We've ascended. We have done so much spiritually. All the truthers, all the spiritual ones that are awake, we are in the know. And because we have done our spiritual work. It's almost like the 100th monkey effect. And because we did our work, we helped raise the collective vibration. So, because we all did our work, the powers that be decided that they were going to help speed up our ascension. Okay. Now, we also got the Hermit card. Now, the Hermit card is that this was happening behind the scenes. This is also intergalactic beings. And this also is again, kind of confirming that things were stopped, hermited, slowed down. So I'm getting they actually stopped the earth. They paused time and did something, some kind of energetic upgrade. All right. And again, this is our rite of passage because we got the Six of Swords. And the Six of Swords is all about our rite of passage. It's going from the dark into the light, and it was sped up. So that's what I'm getting, Laura, so far. All right, so here's the recap. These fell out during our question about whether or not there was a timeline upgrade and a timeline collapse. These fell out. So this means that this was not something that just happened on Earth, like the Earth didn't do it herself. We had interdimensional galactic help from galactic beings that intervened. And the reason why they're doing this is because we've done our work. We've done our spiritual work, those that are awake, and they wanted to speed up the timeline. They wanted to speed up the timeline to our ascension. So there was very much a pausing and a stopping of one timeline. They actually stopped the earth. They stopped time. They upgraded us because the dark hats, the bad people, they were trying to stop our ascension. And because we were so good and we did our work, they stopped time, literally stopped time to speed up our ascension. So there was an absolute collapse of a timeline. They stopped time. They ended the old timeline to the old, and we are on the new ascension timeline, 1000%, Laura.
That is fantastic. I know when the Schumann resonance goes down, a lot of times it's because the monitors weren't, they're getting readings that are beyond their ability to record them. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's very interesting. Also, didn't you have a couple of sixes that showed up during that read? Because the Six of
Uh,
Pentacles is about generosity,
yep, two sixes.
which makes sense because you
Yep,
said they decided to give us that gift, to step in and help a
yep,
little. And the six is about
yep,
measured generosity, you
yep,
know, yeah. And then I always love the other six because that talks about going from chaos to calm, from,
yep.
troubled waters to, calmer waters. So it all kind of worked together to confirm everything you were saying as far as I could see.
Yeah,
Excellent.
that is the generosity. And then the two knights. I mean, this flung out. So this is definitely, it's not human intervention. It's, let's say, extraterrestrial or interdimensional being intervention. But yeah,
Yeah,
we had help.
yeah. Little assistance there. Good, because it's a
Yeah,
it's a team effort, guys.
it is. It is.
And I
Unplug
love
now.
the
We want
fact
to
that,
spew.
and this might be a good time to just interject this for people that are watching. As our timeline ascends and we ascend in our higher vibration, those amongst us who are projecting a false front, and sometimes they're actually benevolent, but know that if they showed what they really looked like, we would panic. It's going to be harder and harder for them to hold their form. And so if you notice all of a sudden that someone seems to, for a blink, have a different look or a different eye shape or whatever, don't panic. Just kind of know that that's going to happen. It's been happening to me for several months with people around here. Not everybody, just one or two. And I just chalk it up to, okay, I'm at a higher vibration and it's hard for them to hold that. And they may not even know they're holding it. You know, if they had 30 generations ago, um, a hybrid situation start, it could be something that they have no knowledge of. Because I'm sure that
Yep.
one person, when I saw their eyes change, they had no idea that it happened. So,
Yeah.
but it's something to be watching for, and don't think you're delusional or seeing things. No, you're actually seeing beyond a false front for whatever reason and seeing reality. And that's part of this that they keep saying we're not ready because we can't face reality. Well, let's show them we can, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And when God's more of God's light is being shown upon this earth now, so it's going to be harder, like you said, for them to keep their form or for the dark to hide. And you're right, a lot of hybrids don't even know that they're hybrids. They have no clue, believe it
right.
or not. As crazy as that sounds, it's true.
Well, I couldn't tell you what the names of my great great grandparents are. That's not
Right.
even close to being 30 generations ago.
I know.
People just were so busy trying to survive that they didn't pass down a lot of things like that unless genealogy was a family interest, you know?
Right.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
just it was what it was. All right, well, we're going to
Exactly.
return to politics now, and I am going to do a read about Sedition Gate, and let's see if there will be some military tribunal consequencing for people, plus additional insights and information. Okay, well, we have some questions about the Democratic lawmakers who were petitioning high-ranking military members to not follow President Trump. They're trying to talk their way out of it. There's some chatter that there's going to be consequences for that, and they may even be military in nature, military tribunal type things. So we would like to know, will military tribunals be a consequence that some or all of those Democratic um, individuals will face, plus additional insights and information? Okay, our first card is the Five of Pentacles. I'm already laughing, Lady D. I know you muted, but I'm already laughing. Okay, then we have the Page of Pentacles. We have the King of Wands, Queen of Pentacles, Page of Swords, Eight of Cups, and Knight of Cups. Okay, so what I'm getting is those Democratic lawmakers, their their peers are trying to distance themselves from them. They don't want any part of this. It is a plan that did not work out the way they wanted it to. They hoped for it to. And what's going to happen is truth will prevail. I'm not getting a hard yes yet to the question, but we are getting some indication that we're on the right track and thinking there will be consequences that might be tribunal in nature. I'll get two more cards and we'll just see if there's a further confirmation from those. The King of Wands for the recent past just says, President Trump has shown great vision and saying, I'm going to distance myself from this. And since sedition is something that lawmakers could be held accountable for in a military court, that's where I'm going to recommend it goes. But I'm watching whatever happens, happens. Okay. Queen of Pentacles for the current situation. Again, we got those lawmakers that are trying to talk their way out of problems and consequences. And It hasn't, I get that it hasn't been decided yet how it's going to be handled. There is a lot of talk going back and forth, some negotiations that are in progress, but the truth and consequences are going to, there's some consequences that are going to happen as a result of those shenanigans, those calls that were made, the exhorting people to not follow the commander in chief, the Constitution, etc. It's going to, some people are going to go bye-bye as a result of that. Absolutely. And they are going to try to talk their way out of it and blame shift and everything else. And it's not going to, I don't think it's going to be effective. Let's get those two additional cards that I talked about. We've got the Empress and the Magician. Okay, so actually, what's going to happen here is if it looks like if there is enough support, groundswell support, to have military tribunals take care of the consequences for those actions by those individuals, it's going to happen. And it looks like it is going to happen. It's going to be made manifest because we got the magician showing up for it happening. So that's what I have so far. So let's recap my question. We were looking at the Democratic lawmakers who made those calls, trying to get upper brass in the military to agree not to follow orders that would come from President Trump, our commander in chief. And President Trump has said, he might just let the military handle that. So we asked if that is going to be the outcome for those individuals, that they'll face a tribunal setting. I personally think that would be a great way for the general public to see how those processes run with the panels and the verdict, and there's no appeal process or anything else. But what's going to happen here, according to the what I got from the cards, is those individuals that did that, people that were seemingly, had their back, they are finding themselves, their calls aren't getting answered, and the friends have deserted them. So they're facing the consequences alone for this. Ultimately, what the universe said was President Trump has decided not to get too deeply involved in this because he doesn't want it to seem to be a retribution type of thing. So it does look like he is going to defer this either to the military for tribunals or the DOJ and just step back and stay out of it and let consequences happen where they may. Now, the universe seemed to be saying to me that they haven't decided really which way to go. They're kind of talking about it, but there will be consequences, actually. And if there is enough groundswell, regular people support, um, the tribunals will be how those consequences roll out. And like I said, I think it would be a fantastic type of primer introduction for the general population to see how tribunals run. Boom. I really do. So I hope that they feel like as they gauge public reaction that they have the support for that and go that way with it.
I love it. It's almost like they have to do something publicly because otherwise, more and more people will do that. And they're just, I mean, that's just so blatant coming out and asking them to go against their orders, asking them to commit treason.
Yeah.
It's just awful. Awful. I love it. I'm so glad. I'm
Yeah.
so glad. Yeah. It looks like they're already getting yeah, what they got the loss. What was it? The five of Pentacles. Yeah, they already got the loss. They're CNN, the fake news was even going against them. They're already
Yeah.
suffering the
Yeah.
consequences.
So, they say we're watching a movie, and this would be a nice plot development. Again, to introduce the
Mhm.
general public to something that we think, I'm sure, has been happening anyway. But in this situation, it's current, it's relevant, it's applicable, and it would be a great way for them to see how that process goes. And maybe a
Yeah.
little warning for people that still thought they could skate by without that on serious things like this, because, even regular citizens, if it's treason or sedition or crimes against humanity, those can get you before a tribunal. So people need to be aware of that.
Yeah.
Actions have consequences. They do. And
Hmm.
yeah, and like you said, they're going to find out.
Baffo, no one's above the law, right?
Right,
They were like,
right.
no one's above the law. So yeah, take your own medicine, take your own advice.
Well, that's what we have for you this week as we do a news review and Tarot 2 here with Laura and Lady D. We thank you so much for joining us and hope you'll be back next week when we do the same thing again. Do a little bit of news review and Tarot 2. Thank you.
Bye.